Good morning and welcome to our Oracle licensing webinar today. My name is David Bloxham, the Marketing Manager at Software One, joined today by Robert Lamb, our Oracle Practice Head. So the webinar session and the topic for this morning is Modernising Oracle Licensing for Cloud, Virtualization and Hybrid. I'll quickly just run through the agenda for the session before I hand over to Rob. So just going to do a brief introduction to who Software One are. From the registrations and the people on the call, there are a few who are new to Software One, so a quick introduction. Then we'll go through some of the Oracle license challenges that clients experience, especially around virtualization. Look at some of the options with regards to moving your Oracle estate to a cloud such as AWS, Azure or Oracle Cloud. And then we'll cover some of the recent announcements made by Oracle around their Oracle Cloud strategy and some advisory next steps as well before we close out. So a brief introduction to Software One. So Software One, we've been trading for more than 30 years now. We have over 3,000 technology experts and customer service colleagues located in 82 countries, looking after our 35,000 clients. We have a rich history and expertise in software licensing and software asset management services, and fast becoming a key strategic partner for our clients, helping them harness the technical and commercial benefits of cloud. At last count, we have helped migrate about 5 million users to the cloud. Whether it's strategic tier one software vendors such as Oracle or tier two vendors, or right down to the niche industry-based software, Software One's depth and breadth of 10,000 software vendors on our books reduces the supply headache for our clients and enables us to effectively manage their software portfolio, looking at optimal ways to consolidate and reduce their spend. So our approach and ethos is about managing your software investments more effectively and optimizing your cloud strategy for greater return and to release funds for investments into innovation rather than keeping the lights on. Our commercial services provide expertise to help build out your contracts and agreements based on business and technology requirements and help negotiate with vendors. This is supported by our technology services colleagues that can help build, deploy and run your IT services as part of transformation initiatives. And our compliance services provide that governance across the life cycle of your assets. Our PyraCloud platform, which we won't touch on too much today, but we'll have further sessions on that later in the year, gives you the visibility across your on-prem and cloud estate to control the costs and manage your software portfolio. Rob, if you're ready, I'll hand over the reins to yourself.
Oh, cheers, Dave. Raring to go. Yeah, so we're running a series of webinars. Good morning, everybody. We're running a series of webinars on Oracle on the cloud. We're particularly looking at Oracle apps on AWS, and look out for our next webinar that's coming along shortly. But I'm asked nearly every day about virtualization and moving software to the cloud. So we thought we'd take a bit of time out and cover this subject. We're not going to go into too much detail, but we will take questions and answers at the end. And there's just a few points to consider. But obviously our clients seem to be having a lot of issues around this. The backdrop of this, I suppose, really is the pressure from Oracle. Oracle got a bit of a problem. We've been tracking their returns on their support spend every year. It's going down for on-premise. Is an issue then that backs onto the clients as the pressure is on the sales guys to sell more, and that more is cloud. But the customers are tied into the long-term contracts. The complex licensing and technical support issues attached to those contracts, and it's very difficult to optimize the contracts because they tend to be tied in. And I think looking at the people who are on the call, most of the people who've had some experience of Oracle would have met the issues of trying to unwind contracts or reduce costs. So we're going to cover that in a brief subject first of all before we look at the licensing. There's on-premise support is very difficult to unwind, and the usual complaint is from the customer is that is diminishing returns from the investment in the contract. I mean, generally speaking, people get fairly hefty discounts if they're cute about negotiating with Oracle, but over a period of time, as the licenses increase by 4% a year, license support increases by 4% a year, then the actual value of the initial discount starts to dissipate. The inflexible contracts with the embedded terms and conditions in the SKUs makes it very difficult to unwind. The virtualization, Oracle's approach to VMware and 6 and Hyper-V is holding back investment. The complaint from clients is the license rules are unclear and confusing, and we fear audit risk. I'm going to cover that off in another slide or two. License mobility is a big question as well. How can I reuse my licenses in the cloud? It gets confusing for clients. The biggest problem for Oracle is moving customers to Oracle Cloud, and the biggest problem for clients is moving Oracle to other clouds. AWS seems to be top of the list for that, given that they've got 44% of the market share at the moment, and Oracle are lagging behind. So there's big pressure from Oracle to force clients down their path. The issues around moving licenses to the cloud are the fear of compliance issues, well known for on-premise audits, but it's still going to be a big issue for clients when they move their product to the cloud. And how does choice of cloud vendor impact on the license and technology? And there are differences, and again, in a few slides we'll just cover that off. Historically, Oracle Cloud contracts are inflexible for current business needs. I must admit to struggling to understand some of the price lists and terms and conditions myself. I think it's a fair point to say you need a degree in rocket science historically to understand the service costs and burn rates on the Oracle technology products. So let's have a look at the on-premise support quickly. It's a pretty common one with our customers. I've got a large contract or multiple contracts. I've got diminishing returns on the business outcomes from that investment. What can I do about it? And if we look at what Gartner's saying is that if those contracts are optimized, then you can maybe save 10 to 20% of your costs on that. Now, for our customers, that's quite important, because if we can save that sort of money, then that money can be reinvested in more practical things to keep the business running rather than keep the lights on. The solution from our perspective is around our advisory service, license optimization. It's a simple solution to help release funds. And if I just give you a quick example about that, if you're spending about £1 million net on Oracle licenses with 220k support fees, and those have been increasing over 4% a year, then over the 10 years, then you're going to be paying in excess of £300,000. So the two challenges there is to reduce that fees and also remove redundancy from the product set. Now, Oracle will offer many ways, which is cloud credit, but the most popular way, which is sort of historical, is to basically cancel and replace. So if we were to take an example of just getting, say, 80% discount, and we have a £200,000 fee now for those new licenses, and paying 22k a year, which is the 22% of Oracle support, then at 22k and 22k for the second year, we're paying Oracle now 244k. So given that we're paying 310k at the moment, we see that we've got an 18-month payback on our licenses. Now, where the touch point is for the license reduction in support costs and the purchase of new licenses depends on the original discount that you actually got from Oracle. But we find it particularly works well where there's been low discounts and where the contracts are old. Really, the skill for this is actually in understanding how to unwind some of these contracts and understanding the terms and conditions and using it to your best advantage. So that's the first method of getting around a particular issue that we've come across with customers. The other method of working out where you are with licenses is a bit more difficult, and that methodology comes on to Oracle virtualization. So Oracle don't really like the term virtualization. I'm sure many of you heard of the term partitioning. The biggest challenge at the moment, though, is this issue with VMware, which is a question I get asked nearly every other day. And we call it Galaxy licensing in Software One. If you have a VMware 6 estate, which is probably what you're looking at if you're running VMware at the moment, because the earlier versions are going out of support. Then Oracle are going to ask you for money for all of your ESX clusters in that estate. It might seem pretty unreasonable if you're only running Oracle on a couple of servers or one particular ESX cluster, but Oracle try and request money. It's an audit risk, and it's become a business inhibitor for many of our customers. I'm often asked whether there's any way out of this. If you've got strong will in a lawyer, you can have the argument. There are documents published by VMware, and we've been advising customers. So there are many ways out. The probably only true way is to isolate a particular ESX cluster. You can use Oracle's virtualization or use some cloud technology to do it. But the only way that really gets you out of this particular pickle is to use an unlimited license agreement. And one of the things that we can share with you is that Oracle tend to not worry too much about the extent of the estate. They're more interested in the extent of the money they can access from you. So they're not really driving the full value of the estate. They're only driving what would be, commercially possible for both parties. So put that in context, we've seen estates where they have £200 to £500 million worth of exposure, or dollars in some cases, on an estate, but the contract value that's been settled with Oracle has been sub 10 million. So I know a lot of people don't like ULAs, but it's potentially one option you can look at to reduce the impact of the VMware 6 if you've taken that as a strategy. So can I move my Oracle licenses to cloud? So this is the next question that I get asked every other day, and the simple answer is yes. But remember, there can be technical issues. You can't do certain things. So from a procurement point of view, it's very easy. But from a technical point of view, there are some challenges, and that will vary from cloud vendor to cloud vendor. But you've got to be careful here, because cloud to Oracle, in terms of their policy, means Oracle Cloud, but it also references AWS and Azure. After that, you're talking about dedicated servers. But there's historic changes, and if you're familiar with Oracle contracts, you'll know about their policy documents that tend to get referenced in their license agreement, and these policy documents get updated. But if you want to look at the detail of this, then like most of these policy documents, you can get to them on oracle.com. You just go into the corporate and pricing, and you'll find it there under the various specialist policies. And if you're interested in the virtualization policy, you'll find that there as well. So the latest cloud policy, I'm not going to cover pre-2017, but there is a moot point which I'll come into in a minute. But post-2017, your licensing in the cloud is pretty simple. On AWS, with hyper-threading, it's two vCPUs per processor and one without. If you go on Azure, then it's one-to-ones. So if you're good at maths, you can work out that actually, if you're looking at something like Standard Edition, it's more expensive on Azure. And if you're looking at Enterprise Edition, then you could find it cheaper depending on the hyper-threading methodology that you use within the environments. So just summarize that, take note of it. So AWS is quite interesting for SE1, SE2 and the old SE product. You're still talking about 4 vCPUs a socket, and on Azure you're talking about 2. So you have to balance that against the technical constraints on both of these systems, and some of the things that I'll talk about later in terms of whether you've got an Azure and AWS contract. But it's not like for like. That's the main thing to remember. The other thing which is just sort of say as well is that the rules of on-premise still apply. So anywhere where you've got Standard Edition within the terminology of the product line, So a good example of that is WebLogic. Then the rules for WebLogic Standard Edition apply for the cloud as well. Also applies is the NUPS rules. So once we've calculated the processors for Enterprise Edition, we apply either the 25 for the database product sets or 10 for the middleware per processor. And of course, you can apply the NUPS rule to the Standard Edition. So can any advantage be gained? Well, generally, yes, because database consolidation. I see a lot of our larger customers doing this. If you want to go out and replace an old server now with a new server, you're talking about a tremendous amount of cores that are actually in the machine. If you go to place a instance on Amazon, then you can define the number of cores that you need rather than paying for the whole server, and that's going to obviously work out cheaper. The days of having a 2 CPU and 2 core machine are over, but you probably had some old applications running on it. Stick it in the cloud is probably the best option that you want to do if you've got a server that's on its last legs. And by defining the server by size and requirements, effectively you've got partitioning. So if you think about the partitioning problems you have on premise, where you've got a server that you got the headroom in, it's the same thing that I was talking about a moment ago, but the most important thing to remember is that you've actually got a partitioning rule here, because Oracle recognizes the your vCPU environment as a partition. But bear in mind, it doesn't recognize any other hosting platform other than Azure in itself. So I'm hitting the button here, Dave. It's not moving forward. So a bit of technology from my colleague here. There we go. So Oracle for AWS, Azure or Oracle Cloud. Premise, it's interesting actually. I find that one of the original premises of the cloud was to remove tie-in and create flexibility and cost reduction and rapid development. But each of the various clouds have pluses and minuses. And if we just look at some of those before we cover off the Oracle announcements recently. I mean, AWS has to be top of the agenda for us and many of our customers. It's mature, it's market leader. If you're looking to move away from the Oracle technology, you're going to probably struggle, but there will be, databases available for non-dependent applications, and there's also the ability to put SAP, eBusiness, and IFS in there. It might fit your VMware strategy. There's a whole webinar that we've been running globally around that because of the changes to VMware strategy in the cloud generally, so I'm not going to cover that there, so you might want to bear in mind that and ask some questions afterwards. Probably won't take them in the webinar, but if you've got any particular thoughts on it, please contact us. And I'd say AWS is very much a proven platform for Oracle legacy business applications. We see a lot of customers move into the SaaS model on Oracle, but where they're reigning with the business applications on premise and they want to put those on cloud, then AWS seems to be the preferred platform because of the proven and technical issues. Azure's becoming more important for our clients. This is driven by two things. One is that a lot of clients have got Azure attached to their EA, and the second thing is there's a big push within Microsoft to encourage customers to have consumption. So I think there's much more awareness now in customers that they can use Azure. I'm seeing more of a move towards it for some of the smaller database instances. And importantly, there is Oracle certification stack, and you can get that on my Oracle support. And Oracle themselves, well, it's a red stack story. They're the ones that can only provide wall-to-wall Oracle and all the technology. There are bits and pieces missing. It's the only one that can actually provide rack. You are still with Oracle. There are some technical advantages I think it's fair to point out. A couple of our customers are now using some of the Oracle technology for DB cloud backup, particularly using the old RMAN methodology to take data from their on-premise systems. It encrypts on-premise and then remains encrypted on cloud. You've got encryption technology within all the other cloud vendors, but this is sort of food and drink from Oracle, which has been around for years. And it's fully certified stack, and it's they've got a robotic database now. You're going to get access to all these new things that are coming out from Oracle. The only problem with the Oracle and the Red Stack story is that it's Oracle, and we get the feeling that a number of our clients like to maintain some degree of multi-vendor, which is really the key issue of moving to cloud in the first place, is to maintain the multi-vendor options and to give that flexibility and lack of vendor tie-in in the future. So what have Oracle announced recently? We mentioned in the webinar the highlights that we were going to cover this. It's probably getting a bit of press now. It was released last week. I mentioned earlier that the Oracle licensing in the cloud was a bit like needing a degree in rocket science. Oracle have woken up to this, probably through the pressure of competition, but there's now just simply a single scope. So if I'm in the EMEA, UK, Europe, and I want to buy Oracle technology to use as a service within Oracle Cloud, I can buy effectively a single scope and then burn rate anything within their technology stack, which means that I don't have to manage each particular individual line item. Well, it's quite a bonus. They've got three models. They've got monthly, yearly, and pay-as-you-go. If I was to summarize that very succinctly, pay-as-you-go is going to cost you twice as much as the monthly and yearly model. So it's probably not going to be of any interest to you unless you're just spinning up a development environment, and then you might be looking at the choice between AWS and Oracle and what the price is going to be to let you to do that. If you're going to be more committed to a mature production environment, you're probably going to look at the monthly model. And as ever with Oracle, there's always going to be discounts, even though they've got list pricing. It's important, a lot of customers have bought cloud mainly through compliance, unfortunately, and have got existing contracts. You can still buy off those contracts, but ideally you want to probably put them in the proverbial bin, because you're going to be having not as much flexibility, and there's going to be a better deal on the table if you go to the new model. So that was all released around about the 1st of October. There's also bring your own licenses to the cloud Oracle. I've not seen details that I'm prepared to release on that at the moment, but if you've had any experience with Oracle, it's fairly simple. If you've got old contracts and you want to turn them into cloud credits, the Oracle sales guy will beat a path through your door to do that. So just summarize then before hand back to David. You can use multiple cloud vendors. There's differences between the pricing and the technical issues. I would say that the important thing is to understand what's best for you and for procurement and IT to speak. It's not just a matter of price. You can use your Oracle licensing in the cloud. It's pretty simple. If you're using multi-cloud, a number of our customers that are on the call use PyraCloud, and we'll be releasing into PyraCloud soon the ability to manage Oracle, but you can manage your AWS and Azure spend through that, and gives you one screen to manage the pane. And I think it's the thing that I often speak to heads of procurement about. If you've got your licensing technology strategy linked, then that's the best way that you're going to reduce your legacy costs and choose the most suitable technology to move forward. And in terms of moving forward, well, I say it was a quick run through the questions I get asked nearly every day, and it was a sort of step out from our webinar series. Virtualization, licensing in the cloud, people are very confused. We're just giving you what I'd say a sheep dip on the subject. If you want to learn more, talk to one of our sales guys or come and talk to us, drop us an email after the webinar. Happy to engage in a conversation, and we would welcome that conversation with you if you've got problems we can help. That's our role in life. I think that about finishes it, Dave. I'll hand you back.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Rob. So it just leaves us now to have some time available for any questions that you want to send through to Rob and myself. We've had 2 come through so far. Please use the chat box facility on your panel to send us any questions. So the first one, I can answer this one, Rob. Can we have the presentation? We'll be sharing a slide deck afterwards with today's content. So absolutely, we'll share today's slides. We have recorded the session as well. So again, that will be available for yourselves and also to share with colleagues. The next question is best practices for moving e-business suite to the cloud, Rob. AWS or Oracle Cloud?
Right. Well, we did a webinar on that. Oh, God, it was 4 weeks ago. We worked with a very respected AWS partner called Clockwork, and we ran a joint webinar on best practice of moving e-business suite to the cloud. Michael, I think the easiest thing to do is share you some of those details afterwards. I can send them to you. In terms of whether you should move to AWS or Oracle Cloud, I think it depends on your IT strategy and the costs. In terms of legacy business suite, we see a lot more of that going to AWS Cloud. It's proven, and I think clients prefer to have the choice of a vendor and not 100% tied into AWS. In terms of the technical things, whether one's better than the other, it depends on the technology stack and what your requirements are. So we've been asked to revisit a slide, yeah?
Correct.
So by Michael again, keeping us busy, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump into it now. So it was just another question from Michael. It was, can you revisit the slide of the core factor differences between AWS and Azure? So I believe it's this one.
Yeah. I think the best thing to do is to make a note of the URL link to save time and to go through that. You can download it off Oracle. I think even if you Google it, you'll be able to find it. And that actually it's only it used to be a 2-page document. It's only a 1-page document now. It's pretty confusing first time reading. We didn't cover pre-2017 and the moot point. If you've got Oracle licensing pre-2017, your Oracle policy document on cloud would be different to the one post-January 2017. So I'm waiting for a client, welcome anyone to step up to the plate, who has bought Oracle pre-2017 with that cloud policy document, who now wants to use Oracle based, say in AWS or Azure, based on the policies that are in place pre-2017. Because theoretically, you should be able to use the licenses against what you were contracted. You'd probably need a strong stomach for the argument, but I welcome anybody who wants to try it on. Yeah, there's another question here as well, which was VMware 5. Yeah, problem customers are facing with VMware 5 is that it's been de-supported. So really, customers are between a rock and a hard place in terms of where they want to go with 5 and 6. So sort of reference back to the previous comments that you need to think about your overall strategy and have a look at some of the stuff we put out globally around VMware. Is there any more questions?
That's the last one that I have currently in the chat box. So we'll look to wrap this up, Rob.
Oh, it's a thanks there. I thought it was another question. Thank you, Michael. Cheers.
Okay. So yes, just to wrap up then, just to thank everyone for joining the session today. Hope that's been of valuable use to you with regards to your Oracle and cloud strategy. Thank you to Rob for taking us through the session. As I say, we will be sharing the slides and the recording afterwards. And we do recommend, if you do have any further questions, to either contact your Software One account manager or indeed get in touch with myself. You'll have my details when I share the deck, and I'll put you in touch with one of our specialists. So thank you very much, and we'll also send out details of the next Oracle webinar, which is related to moving your actual Oracle applications and technology to AWS. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Good morning, everyone.